Asa, let's go, Asa.
Hello everyone, welcome to FundiTalk Student, your podcast for student champions. My name is Pio Masuku, I'm your host. Today, we are bringing you yet another episode of an interesting topic that we're going to be discussing with Christine Buekes. She is our guest. Hello, Christine.
Hello, Spee. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, and you?
And today we are discussing the most important topic, student dropouts. Please can you introduce yourself and tell us about your career and your study journey before we get to the topic?
Great. So my name is Christine Buekes. I enrolled at City Varsity, and I wanted to do prosthetic makeups because I was really interested in scary movies. And yeah, I just found it fascinating and I really wanted to get into it. And I'm also quite artistic.
Yes.
So about 6 months in, I realized this wasn't for me. I made the wrong choice and I ended up dropping out.
How did you discover that it was the wrong choice? What was happening at the time? Were you not feeling the cause? Was it maybe, looking at your peers and the choices that they've made in terms of their careers? Or what exactly was the main reason behind you dropping out?
I think the more I learned about the course and what it would entail when I was out of varsity,
Yes.
I realized that the lifestyle wasn't for me.
Okay.
I'm quite family orientated, and I wanted a career that was stable, whereas if I were to do makeup,
Yes.
I would be on the road the whole time and
my God.
I wouldn't be home,
Yes.
and it's long hours. So yeah, I decided it's not for me.
Thank you so much. So I just want to understand in terms of the dropout rate. So the other factors that are affecting dropout rates is subject choices. What do you have for us in terms of insights about subject choices?
A lot of students drop out due to being on the wrong path. They're not sure what they want to do in terms of their career. And so they end up choosing the wrong subjects, whether it's because of family pressures, their friends pressuring them, or they want to be in the same subjects as their friends. There are many reasons why students choose the wrong subjects. However, most of it comes down to uncertainty, and a lot of students are uncertain. They don't know what they want to do with their futures.
In addition to what we are discussing, other subject matters find it that lack of academic support also contributes in student dropping out. So where and what happens exactly with the student in terms of academic support that will lead to an individual thinking, you know what, I can't do this thing?
A lot of the times, students don't realize how difficult the transition is between high school and university.
True.
So they will go into university expecting it to be the same way, where their teachers are guiding them the whole time.
Yes.
They're taking them through hand by hand, explaining everything to them, telling them when the exam dates are, the test dates are, which professors do as well, but they're not going to follow up. So I think once they get to university, they realize how individualized it is and how that they're actually more independent and they need to navigate this new university life on their own.
What about financial reasons? Do we also find, students dropping out of courses because, they chose the most affordable course, or probably because, the available funding was leading them to, taking an engineering course? Because as we see companies go for career days and do these open days with the learners, it's what you are exposed to that kind of leads you to make a decision in terms of your career. Would you say that also plays a role?
That definitely plays a role. Funding especially. So if students find that they cannot go and study at the university of their choice,
Yes.
they might opt for something cheaper, and that cheaper place might not have the courses that they would like to pursue.
Yes.
So I definitely think it plays a role. There's also a situation where students cannot get into university because of funding, and then they end up choosing subjects at another college that they don't actually want to do.
So now, when it comes to that, so remembering, the process that you go through as a student, there's always the option to have your first choice and also have your second choice. And some institutions now have extended it, you also have your third choice. Would you say that... Firstly, how does a student balance between the subject choices they choose? How do they know what subject choices do I need to take so that it can align with my first choice? And if my first choice is not working out for me, then my second choice would be still fall within the parameters.
I think research is very important. They can also speak to their lecturers and find out, let them know that they would like to pursue a certain career. Let's say a veterinarian, for example.
Yes.
Then they would know that they need to study BCom science
Yes.
in veterinarian. But if they need a second choice, it's important that they do some research, maybe take a career test,
Yes.
and see what other subjects they can take. As I mentioned before, FundiMatch is a great tool for that. And you also get a lot of career counselors at the university and at the colleges that can help you.
So when would a student, be able to take the test, or when do you recommend that the student must take the test so that they are able to know, when in which career should they choose? Is it also personality aligned, or what does the test do actually, and when should one take the test?
I would say that learners in matric should take the test
Yes.
right before not right before, but before they apply to university or to college.
Yes.
And the test entails everything from work assessment to personality to IQ.
Yes.
Very importantly, it assesses your personality and skills and what you're good at, as well as your interests, because that will tell you essentially what type of career you need to pursue.
So from primary school, you're already thinking, the subjects that you have in primary, when you step into your tertiary, obviously they become a bit, vague and specialize your biology and all. Wouldn't you say that it's ideal for one from grade 9 to kind of look at, what does the future look like? Because in matric, you've already chosen your subject choices. It's either you doing your pure maths, your maths lead, your biologies, your commerce, or so forth. Wouldn't you say at grade 9, grade 8, you need to at least be starting to familiarize, take the test so that you start to understand yourself better and what the future holds for you?
Ideally, you would want learners to take the test at a grade 9 level.
Yes.
However, unfortunately, a lot of grade 9 learners aren't exposed to career tests or career guidance.
Yes.
It's not something that's often talked about, especially we've done studies around it. We've asked teachers, and they say that although they try and discuss it in subjects like LO or life orientation,
Yes.
Essentially, learners in grade 9 aren't really thinking about that, so the importance isn't as focused. And I think that it needs to come from all levels, not just the school, but also the parents, the guardians, and anyone else involved. So I definitely think grade 9 is important. It should be at grade 9.
So speaking of that, I'm getting that, academic support. So academic support becomes a very key and important topic that both parents and teachers and the community around, and also your corporate, your institution, that needs to, make sure it's something that's available to students, from your open days, to understand, your engineering courses, your humanities and all that. What do you find that this is something that is practiced commonly, that our communities and our students are exposed to, or is it something that they need to look into the internet, find out themselves the information? Is it available?
There's a lot of information on the internet about different types of careers that you can find.
Yes.
For example, on FundiConnect, we have a careers page that gives you different descriptions of all types of careers, what tertiary qualifications you need, all the requirements, and where you can study. So I do think that information is available. I just think that schools need to be playing a bigger role in giving that information to students and telling them how they can find that information.
Now, someone is thinking, what, I dropped out because psychologically I couldn't handle the pressure. What does the transition from, your matric to an institution, because we often find that our students are relocating provinces, so that they can be able to fulfill their career needs and so forth. And someone is sitting at home now and they're saying, at psychological, I couldn't take it. What kind of support can our institution, our parents, our communities give, also friends, give to these students when they going through the transitioning, to make sure that it's smooth and they're able to, stay in university and also complete their degrees?
I think it's important for, especially on a personal capacity, where friends and family members should check in and see how the student is doing, and with professors as well. If they see that the student is very quiet, they're not performing, At a tertiary level, they also need to be checking in to see how they're doing.
Yeah.
However, on the same hand, from the student's perspective,
Yes.
if they feel that they're not coping, they need to reach out and seek support.
Yeah.
And this they can do very easily. There are counselors at most universities, if not all the universities, at colleges. They can also speak to a family member, a friend, and also get that support from them.
On a tertiary level, so on a day-to-day class, if you're looking at a professor, looking at how big their lecture rooms are and how many students they have, how practical is it for them to pick, especially let's talk about first years, right? Because they're meeting them for the first time and the engagement. How easy and how quick is it for a lecturer to identify, such, characteristics on a student and be able to intervene?
I think if it's quite obvious, for example, the learners and the student isn't performing,
Yes.
the grades are very low, they can detect it that way.
Yes.
It is obviously difficult to look at a big room full of
Yes,
100
yes.
students
Exactly.
and point out, hey, that one is not
Yes,
performing
yes.
well. But like I said, it all comes down to the student as well. So I don't think it's the professor's responsibility to do that. The student needs to also reflect and think about how they're coping. And if they're not coping, they need to seek out support.
The big question now is, I've dropped out. Now, does that make you a failure? Is there a room for you to bounce back, find yourself? And is it too late for you to rectify? So you have these subject choices that you've chosen and you've dropped out. So can you go back?
You can always go back. I always say that you are never too old to go back and study. And I definitely think that if you are in a position where you have dropped out, you're not sure what you want to do,
Yes.
if you can, take a gap year, get a job, and reflect and maybe find out, discover who you are as a
Yes.
person, because that will help define what career you are made for.
That's interesting because, that's one of the things that a lot of students are sitting and they are thinking, you know what, I've failed myself, and they probably don't know how to navigate this. How did you navigate? Where are you? Did you continue? Did you go back to study? And what did you study? And where are you today?
I actually got a lot of support from my family members and also from my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time.
Yes.
We had a huge discussion about what I should be doing next.
Yes.
I was very confused, didn't know what I wanted to do. And I actually looked at my personal interests.
Yes.
And I realized that I really enjoy writing and I really enjoy reading.
Yes.
And so I pursued a degree in English, graduated from the university, Wits University.
Yes.
And excuse me, after that, I pursued my honors in publishing.
Wow.
And from there, I became an editor, and now I'm working at Fundi as a content manager.
This is amazing. So from you dropping out because, you felt this is not aligning with my vision. This is not aligning with what I want to do, in future, and the mom I want to be, the family I want to be with. And, you bounce back and you made sure that, whatever it is that you choose is something that aligns with you. It's something that will also give you the break. So what would you say to a student that's sitting in the same situation right now? Because as supportive as you had parents and you had people that were looking at your interest at the time, someone is sitting at home and all they hear, when they walk on the streets or when they walk in the hallway at home, it's you are a failure, you are such a waste, you are such a this. What word of advice do you have for that person, to encourage them to get back on their feet and also find themselves and find something that they really appreciate and love?
I think they should ignore those voices that are telling them that they're a failure, because they're not.
Yes.
And they need to take time alone to actually reflect on themselves. Think about what they're interested in.
Yes.
Think about what they're skilled at.
Yes.
Think about their own personality, and just take a bit of a gap and just explore different options.
Yes.
If you can. Like I said, take a career guidance test if you have to. Seek counseling. Talk to your parents. Talk to your guardians. And yeah, just self-reflect and just look deep inside yourself and think about what you would like to do with your life and your career.
You mentioned also something about gap years. If I remember correctly, also when I was transitioning from, my matric to an institution, a lot of the people, when gap year was mentioned, it was associated with failure as well. It was associated with, not meeting the criteria to be at an institution also, because, when we grow up, everyone wants to move at the same pace with your peers and everyone else. So to someone who is wanting to take a gap year and, the environment, they're not getting the support, well, what would you say to them? How important it is for them to take this gap year? And while they take the gap year, what can they do? What resources should they read so that they find themselves and they can go back and study whatever it is that they feel they're comfortable and they need to study?
I'm going to answer this with a personal experience because I also took a gap year.
Yes.
I only started studying when I was 19.
Yes.
Before that, I took a gap year because my dad lost his job, and we were all busy working.
Yes.
And of course, that uncertainty was still there. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So while I was working, I took that time to, like I said, reflect on myself.
Yes.
I did career tests myself.
Yes.
And I just took it a day at a time,
Yeah.
because there is no right answer when it comes to finding out who you are.
Yeah,
I feel like we
definitely.
learn more about ourselves
As you go
every
along.
single day
Yes.
as we go. So what my advice to them is to just take it a day at a time. Don't listen to the negativity. I know it's really difficult,
Yeah,
but
it is.
it's not going to help the situation. And you need to just believe in yourself and, yeah, just take some time and figure out what you want to do.
This is a very interesting topic. Towards closing, or if we were to sum up, what would be some of the career guidance, advices that you'd give to students who are going through the same situation, trying to discover what career choices they want, subjects to choose, and also with the influence of parents and guardians and all?
The great thing about career guidance is there are so many options available to students. The first one that I can point out is FundiMatch, which is an online psychometric testing platform.
Yes.
Where students can actually take an assessment, see what careers are most suitable to them. Based off of that, they can see what they need to study in terms of their degrees, their diplomas, and anything else that they require.
When should they be taking that assessment?
Ideally, they would take it in grade 9. However, there are students that are uncertain, so it is important that they also just, if they are feeling unsure
Yes.
about the subjects that they've chosen or the degree that they're pursuing, it's important that they do a test like a psychometric test in order to get that assistance they need.
For lack of a better word, I'm going to use the word forced gap year, right? So this is a season where all the students who have applied, they've received their result, the status of their applications, and sadly to some of them who really, really wanted to be placed as an institution, find themselves not being able to because of space issues, financial issues. A word of encouragement to those students.
Don't be discouraged and don't give up. In the meantime, if you can there's a lot of free online courses you can do, and you can also maybe take a step in the right direction in terms of your career. So perhaps find a job that's within the same field that doesn't require anything. For example, if you want to be a chef, take a job at a restaurant and just get a feel for it. And yeah, just like I said, take it a step at a time.
So kind of go and experience,
Yes.
and put your toes in the water and, find out if it's warm enough for you or not.
Exactly. And at the same time, like I said, there are so many online courses available that they can do for absolutely free.
Wow, this is such a critical and important topic. We're hoping that everyone who's at home, who's had to drop out for many reasons, financial reasons, mental health as well, also because they chose, the wrong career, or it was forced, or it was something that they had overlooked. We hope that they find this information very important and they're able to reflect, as you were, emphasizing, that it is more on you to sit back and reflect and see who you are as a person, what you want, your values, and what does the future look like. Because at the end of the day, these are some of the things that we are stuck with. So imagine a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. That's where you spend most of the time, and you are unhappy with what you do. You're unhappy with the service. Technically, it will be such a waste of time. It will be such a waste of you as a resource in that environment. So we are saying to everyone who's at home, there's not a problem to take a gap year. And if you are in a situation where you are having this forced gap year because of, availability in terms of the spaces in the institution, we are saying to you with our guests today, go and experience, go and expose yourself in the areas, in the fields, and also take time to reflect on yourself to see, what the future holds for you. And don't give up. Keep applying. Apply again next year. Yes, there's going to be another pool of students and learners who are going to be applying, but this is your life. This is your future. Never, ever give up on yourself, because, we are not ready to give up on you, and we will be keeping you in touch and giving you the content that you need. And we hope that everything that we engage with you, you take it with ease, with positivity, and is also able to add some value in your life. Thank you so much, Christine, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Spee.
Thank you, guys. We hope that you will keep watching, you will keep improving on yourself. You will also keep on guiding us as well, because for as much as we're giving you the information, we are also learning from you and everyone else in the community. Stay safe, and we see you again next time.